If you are deciding whether Influence is still worth reading, my verdict is yes, but with one important condition. Do not read it as a bag of persuasion tricks. Read it as a warning system for moments when a normal human shortcut starts doing too much work. The book is valuable because Cialdini does not simply say people are easy to manipulate. He shows why the shortcuts are useful first, and only then shows how they can be exploited. That double view is what keeps the book from becoming cynical. It respects human cooperation while still giving the reader a practical defense against unearned compliance. The strongest part of the book is the central frame. A cue is useful only when it still points toward truth. Price can sometimes signal quality. Authority can sometimes signal expertise. Crowds can sometimes carry real information, and scarcity can sometimes reflect a real limit. Cialdini's value is that he makes the reader ask whether the cue earned the response it is requesting. That question travels well beyond the original examples. It works in sales, relationships, workplaces, social media, political messaging, medical settings, and everyday online decisions. A second strength is the quality of the examples. The airport flower shows how a tiny, unwanted gift can create a debt-shaped feeling. The safe driving billboard experiment shows how a small prior yes can grow into identity pressure. The nurse medication example shows why real expertise still needs active attention. These examples are not just memorable stories, they are diagnostic tools. After reading the book, you can recognize the feeling before you can fully explain it. Debt, consistency, pressure, crowd safety, warmth, authority, urgency, or belonging. The third strength is the ethical layer, especially in the newer expanded reading of the book. Influence is often marketed as a persuasion manual, but its more useful message is moral. Honest influence makes the relevant evidence easier to see, while manipulation makes the cue louder than the evidence. That makes the book useful not only for people who want to resist bad persuasion, but also for people who persuade others. Leaders, teachers, creators, marketers, managers, parents, and coaches can use the book as an audit of their own methods. The limitations are real. First, the book can be misused if the reader only extracts the labels and ignores the ethical burden. Reciprocity, authority, social proof, scarcity, liking, commitment, and unity can become a checklist for pressure if the reader is careless. The book gives defenses, but it cannot force the reader to use them responsibly. Second, the examples are powerful because they are clear, but real life is often messy. In a live decision, several cues appear at once. A friendly expert may show a popular product with a deadline and a community identity attached. The book gives the map, but the reader still has to practice separating the signals under pressure. So who should read it? Anyone who works in communication, leadership, teaching, marketing, sales, negotiation, product design, fundraising, content creation, or management should read it carefully, because the book explains the forces they may be using on other people. Anyone who feels vulnerable to pressure buying, authority, group loyalty, urgency, or social approval should also read it. Busy readers who already know persuasion psychology can skim the familiar principles and focus on the examples, defenses, unity, and ethical sections. Readers looking for a quick motivation book or for a purely academic research review may skip it or use a more specialized source. My final recommendation is this. Influence is worth reading, but it is most worth reading as a discipline of attention. The book will not make you immune to persuasion, and it should not make you suspicious of every human request. Its best use is quieter and more practical. When a decision suddenly feels obvious, ask what made it feel obvious. If the cue still points toward truth, use the shortcut gratefully. If the cue has been staged, inflated, or disconnected from evidence, let the feeling pass without obeying it. For most readers, that is the real payoff. Not becoming harder, colder, or more suspicious, but becoming harder to rush. The book earns its place when it helps you pause without losing your ability to trust. That is the reason the book still matters.